flag because capture the flag actually started during the Civil War because the war battle was actually over whenever the enemy found the other flag or whatever, and then the soldiers actually were awarded a Medal of Honor if they could protect their own flag or capture the enemy's flag.
1, 2, 3, go North!
The Underground Railroad is not exactly a railroad at all, but a trail of houses that enslaved African Americans would travel from south to freedom in the north.
The runaway slaves would seek out these houses during the day to hide away from people trying to catch them. Some slaves came on their own, while others had previous slaves or conductors lead them.
Hi, I'm Harriet Tubman. I'm one of the many conductors of the Underground Railroad. I've helped many slaves to freedom to the north.
Let's watch one of her heroic trips to bring a few slaves to freedom.
Being a conductor of the Underground Railroad was no easy task. You were in danger the second you went into the South to lead slaves out.
You have to be careful, or you might end up back in slavery.
Conductors had a heavy weight on their shoulders. They were responsible for the safety of the slaves that they were escorting to safety.
I could have swore I saw some runaway slaves. Which way did they go?
There's a safe house nearby here. Let's hurry up and get there before the bounty hunter comes back.
The houses on the Underground Railroad had hidden rooms and cellars where the runaways could hide all day long.
We'll settle in here for the night. We'll be brought food later, but I suggest you guys try and get some sleep.
Mama, do you think we'll run into that nasty bounty hunter again?
I don't know, but don't worry about that right now. Just try to get some sleep.
Slaves would travel for days in order to reach freedom in the north.
Hurry, we're almost there. Freedom's just across the river.
Is it true, Mama? Could it really be?
Yes, I think it is. It's wonderful. We finally get to see it.
Conductors of the Underground Railroad, like Harriet Tubman, brought many slaves to freedom, even at the high cost that they would pay if they were caught.
The South was enraged by the amount of slaves that the efforts of the Underground Railroad freed. They passed a law that punished the people that would help the underground slaves.
But that didn't stop me or the other conductors. Instead, we just worked harder.
The conductors in the houses along the Underground Railroad did not back off,
They worked harder than ever.
proving that doing what's right is worth the punishment no matter how severe.
Hey, what are you eating?
This is an applesauce cookie. They made these back in the Civil War days.
How did they make them?
Because sources were limited, you only needed a few key ingredients. The first thing you need is 1 cup of flour. The second thing you need is half a cup of brown sugar. You need a ½ teaspoon of cloves, ½ teaspoon of cinnamon, 2 eggs, ½ teaspoon of baking soda, (1½ teaspoons of baking powder), fourth teaspoon of salt. And of course, last but not least, 1/4 cup of applesauce. Bake the cookies at 375 degrees for approximately 10 minutes, or until they're golden brown. Applesauce cookies are quick, easy, and very inexpensive to make.
It's in the 1850s, and the United States is less than 100 years old. Immigrants have come from all over the world to settle in America. The streets of New York and Philadelphia are filled with the rumble and clatter of carriages, wagons, and horses. Factories and businesses in the north provide jobs for newcomers. In the south, life is quiet and slow. Farmland stretches as far as anyone can see. Cotton and sugar cane make plantation owners rich. There's something else different about the South. In the South, there are slaves. Slaves live every day knowing that they are someone else's property. The food they eat, the clothing they wear, and even their own families are owned by someone else. For most slaves, it is the only life they will ever know. But some slaves run away. They risk everything, even their lives, for freedom. You've heard of abolitionists in the North who think blacks and whites are equal. Some of them lead runaways through unfamiliar areas or hide them from slave catchers. Their routes are secret, but their network is growing. It's become known as the Underground Railroad, and there's more need for it now than ever. Runaways used to be safe if they made it to the North, but since the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 was passed, slave owners can recapture slaves in any state. The only place slaves can truly be free now is Canada, and that act makes it illegal to help slaves escape. As an American living in the 1850s, you're not sure how you feel about that. You understand how important it is for slave owners to reclaim their property. How else would southern plantation owners make a living? Another part of you is uneasy about the idea of owning another human being. What if the abolitionists are right and people are all equal? Then slavery and everything the South stands for would be wrong. There are so many sides to this question, and there are no easy answers. Alright, so today I'm going to read a story that puts us in the perspective of a runaway slave. And we're going to go through the journey with them, and hopefully we can make it to slavery. So here we go.
Make it to freedom.
Make it to freedom. Sorry, my bad. Okay, here we go. It's a beautiful spring morning in Kentucky. You're in one of the grand flower gardens that fill the yard around a large, beautiful home. The house is called Evergreen. From the big house, you hear someone calling you. A knot of fear tightens in your stomach. You know that voice. It's the voice of your master, Brutus Clay. You are his slave. You were born here. Your mother and father are also slaves. Your father works in the master's fields every day from sunrise to sunset. Your mother works in the kitchen. I want every flower bed weeded by sundown, Master Clay says to you. You have no choice, so you quickly get to work. Hours later, your back aches and your hands are bleeding from pulling all the weeds. You glance back at the house as it grows dark. Through the window, you see Master Clay and his family sitting down to an elegant dinner. You run toward the slave cabins. Black-eyed pea soup is bubbling in a pot over the fireplace. Your mother and father are talking frantically. Are you sure? How many of us will be sold? Your mother cries. Sold, your heart pounds and you can't breathe. Being sold away from your family is the worst thing possible. I don't know how many, father says, but we can run away before the slave trader comes. Run away? That's crazy talk. They'll hang us, your mother says. I have the money Master Clay let me keep when I worked on his neighbor's farm last fall, father says. He stands up straight. Better to die in freedom than live enslaved. Come with me. Your mother refuses. Your baby brother is too little to travel, she says. They come up with a plan. Master Clay is going to hire Father out to his neighbor again next week. Father will get a pass to travel to the other farm. That's when he'll escape. When he is free, he will earn enough money to buy back the rest of the family. They both look at you. You're old enough to decide, Father says. You can come with me, or you can stay here with your mother. What a terrible choice. If you go with your father, you risk being recaptured and sold. Or you could die in the wilderness, but you might make it to freedom. If you stay, you could help your mother, but you might be sold away from your family forever. What will you do?
Go! Go! I want to go!
The pull of freedom is strong. You decide to go with your father. You make a plan. When your father gets permission to leave, he will wait for you in the woods a few miles down the road. After dark, you will join him. Then you'll both head north toward the border of Kentucky and the free state of Ohio. 2 days later, Father comes into the cabin. He shows you a small metal tag hanging around his neck. It's his pass to leave the farm. You're scared and excited at the same time. The next afternoon, Father leaves as expected. The hours until dark seem to drag on. Finally, all the lights in the big house go off.
Thanks for coming with us on our Civil War journey. Join us next time on This History in a Box.